All right, everyone, we're live here. New York just closed their polls like 20 seconds ago. Um, so it is. We are watching very closely a ton of races tonight. This is our probably our busiest night of the year. Um, I hope you guys are excited as we are underway here. So we got some very, and we just got some projections to start off today, but they're just on the uncontested ones. So we are not going to go over that. So let's go over our key races for tonight. So first off, we have the first district of New York. This is entirely Suffolk County. This is Nancy Gorf, the lady who challenged Lee Zeldin a few years ago, versus John Avalon, the former CNN analyst. Obviously, the most contested election tonight, one of the most contested elections tonight, is George Vladimir taking on Jamal Bowman, the incumbent. Jamal Bowman got himself in hot water, and yeah, that and pretty much that's the reason why he's getting more challenge. And Bowman has starting to take the lead here. All right, and then let's go over to New York 22. This is a competitive race in Syracuse, New York. Democrats have tried to get this district for a bit, uh, and right now, and this might be the year, but we'll see who takes on Brandon Williams. And New York 24. This is a race to one of the interesting cases of an incumbent getting challenged. Claudia Tenney and Mario Fratto. Fratto is challenging from the right. This um, district is basically all Republican, gerrymandered like this. And then in Colorado, which polls just closed in, we got Lauren Boebert, the congresswoman from the 3rd district in Colorado, running in a new district. She's technically an incumbent. She is running for re-election in this district, and she has a ton of people running against her. And there's a special election in this race. The Republican that's running in special will not run for is not running for the general. We got another one, Colorado Free. This is to replace Lauren Boebert. Again, the winner of this will face Adam Fritsch in the general election. And then in Colorado, we got Colorado 5. This is to replace Doug Lamborn. We have Dave Williams and Jeff Crank. In Colorado 8, this is the most competitive race in Colorado. Gabe Evans and Janet Jossi running to go against Yadria Carvalho. In Colorado, here's the special election for Colorado. It's 4th, Greg Lopez, Trisha Calvers. And then in Utah, polls closing in Utah in about an hour. We got the Senate race between John Curtis, Jason Walton, Brad Wilson, and Trent Staggs. And the Utah gubernatorial race, Governor Spencer Cox being challenged by Phil Lyman. Utah, 1st congressional district, Blake Morgan challenged by Paul Miller. And Utah 2, Celeste Malloy, who is running for a full term, is up against Colby Jenkins. And then in Utah 3, this is to replace John Curtis. We have a very we have basically a crowded race. Whoops, I did not mean to do that. We have a very crowded race there. So let's go all the way back to New York 16, where Jamal Bowman is running for re-election in a very, very competitive primary, and we are now bringing in from uh, tuning out to static Dante.
Hello. Hello, everyone. Good to be here.
Welcome back. So we have, if you guys are interested in reading Dante's blog, tuning out the static, it's down in the description. He detailed every single race, but he can go over it for some of y'all here as well. And oh wow, Bowman's start looking pretty good to start off this night.
Well, only 3% in. I wonder if this is
Yeah.
early vote. So let's discuss the composition of this district, if that's okay. So, as you can
All
see, we
right.
got Westchester County and the Bronx. Bowman is going to need to run the numbers up in the Bronx. That's the more diverse part of the district, more non white voters. The Westchester is more suburban, which generally historically means more moderate. It also has a higher concentration of Jewish voters who obviously have not been happy with Jamal Mowen over his stance on the Israel Hamas war. So if he's going to win tonight, he needs to run it up in the Bronx.
Is only 23% in, and the Bronx and Bowman is getting 80-20 uh, lead, which is good for him, but I don't know if it's enough yet. All right, so we're getting some more numbers are coming in pretty quickly here. The Bronx looking pretty good for Bowman so far, but again, Westchester County. This is again out. This is county outside of New York. This is not New York itself. It's a suburb of New York. So Vladimir is. This is probably where Vladimir will do better. So, but these two candidates are both controversial. Like obviously Bowman, hot has been in hot water for a better part of a year now, and Vladimir has said some controversial things. So
Yeah, Bowman has removing this race from the context of the Israel Palestine war, and I will say it's early vote. Not sure these numbers are good enough for Jamal Bowman, but we'll see what happens in election day vote. That could favor him a little bit more. Um, you had with Jamal Bowman, you had the fire alarm scandal, you had the 9/11 conspiracy theories on his old blog, and then looking over at Latimer, he's made some controversial statements about race in the district. He made a comment referring to the ethnic advantage possessed by Bowman. He accused Bowman of having a constituency of Dearborn, Michigan, which is a heavily Muslim city in Michigan, obviously. So certainly a couple of controversial candidates, and we'll see how this ends.
and we have some other races like New York one, which is not really that competitive, but it's fun to point out that we got some other competitive districts up tonight. New York 22, Democrats have been trying to take this district over for years and yet has failed to do it. Like, what is the how will that change this year with like
Yeah, in New York 22, we have Sarah Hood and John Mannion running to take on Brandon Williams, whose district got bluer after it was already blue leaning and got even bluer on redistricting. Some people have already called Williams an underdog for reelection, so we'll see where it goes.
again back to the days where Caco represented this seat that it was still blue leaning during the Caco days, and yet the Democrats still were unable to win the seat.
Kako is a
But
moderate, and Williams is not really.
and then House 24. What is interesting about this race that you wrote about it in your blog?
Well, Claudia Tenney is facing a primary challenge from Mario Fratto, who she beat by around 14 points in 2022. Fratto has some endorsements for members of Congress like Paul Gosar. He's raised a decent amount of money, and Tenney has been running ads indicating that she's taking this race pretty seriously, at least.
Yeah, that's the opposite of how Jamal Bowman actually got into Congress in the first place. Elliot Engel then said some things that was not really good for him. Like it made him get him in the bad light. So this is basically the opposite of what Elliot Engel did when he was facing Bowman. But we also got Colorado up today, so we have our biggest races here are the fourth, both the regular and special. So what's going on with Lauren Bobler? She is leading 48-19 right now. So this is the Lauren Bobler seat. We got she is about 20 points ahead of her, almost 30 points ahead of her nearest opponent. So will this be close at all?
The polls have not shown it as close, and yeah, she's off to a pretty strong start.
However, in the special, uh, this is not looking as strong as Democrats have kind of hoped after what happened in Ohio a couple of weeks ago, but still a pretty strong performance here to start off the night. So we have Arapahoe County coming in, and it's a 7 point lead for Greg Lopez. This is a lot of them. This is a couple of Denver areas and Fort Collins. So we got some Democratic leaning areas, but this special election is worth watching marginalized because no one saw what happened in Ohio coming, so we're just gonna watch to see what happens with this margin. In the race to replace Bober in the 3rd district, we got Jeff Hurd and Ron Hanks in a battle here. Hurd and Ranks are Hurd has a pretty decent lead, so
Yeah, that would be disappointing for Democrats who spent a lot of money attacking Hurd and trying to maybe get Ron Hanks, who is very controversial, the nomination.
Ron Hanks is basically Bobert.
Yeah, a Hurd victory would take this district not entirely off the board just because of how much money Adam Frisch has, but it would probably not be a priority in November anymore.
And then what's the 5th district about? Uh, which is basically Colorado Springs.
This is the race to succeed Doug Lamborn between the Trump endorsed Dave Williams, chair of the Colorado GOP, and the Mike Johnson endorsed Jeff Crank, a radio host.
This is the first time that Trump and Johnson really split on endorsement. Is that correct?
I don't know for sure, but certainly this is the first time I know.
And then in Colorado 8, this is the most competitive district in Colorado. Gabe Evans, Janet Joshi, I believe that's how you say it. This is a competitive race. Uh, what is the strategy here for Democrats? Who would they really prefer here?
Which one is this?
The
The
8th
CO8?
district.
They'd probably prefer Junek.
And then Utah closes in an hour, so we won't go over that yet. And Vladimir has just taken a huge lead in New York 16. It is
Must be votes from
oh
Westchester
wow,
coming.
wow, that's not good for Bowman. What do you think Bowman? How much vote does Bowman really need in the Bronx to really try to pull this upset?
Honestly, probably more than this. He's up 81-19, and he probably needs to do even better.
Right now, he's trailing in Westchester 69-31.
I will say the race is going to probably tighten because I think these are the early votes from Westchester, and those are probably the most favorable patch of votes we'll get to Latimer for Latimer all night. But yeah, it's going to be a tough gap to close now.
Is a huge, and we have nothing yet from the other New York rate. Well, we have New York 22. Mannion leads by a bit because Syracuse basically is the only big area in this district that has dropped a decent amount of vote. But will this be close? Well, is this expected to be a close primary?
Yeah, I think so. And why what?
It's NY 22 Williams.
Yeah, the primary is expected to be at least a little competitive. Looks like John Mannion is ripping it up in Onondaga, though, which is where Syracuse is.
Yeah, it's a 73-27 margin. I think that's Antenna is doing okay, but it's still very early here. We have yet to see an incumbent lose to not this year that was not an incumbent on the incumbent primary. So we might get some.
Bob Good, for all intents and purposes, has lost his primary.
Yeah, he'll probably call for a recount, but it's pretty much over for him. Oh, we got a little bit more vote coming in from the Bronx, which gives Bowman closes the gap for Bowman a little bit. But vote is coming in pretty quickly here in New York 16. I'm not really watching the 14th, which is AOC's district, but you did have it a little bit on your radar. Can you update us with why you have it on
She
your
won.
radar?
No, and she won.
Oh. I saw you wrote about it, so I was just
I did write about it. I just was mentioning it pretty briefly because I knew people would wonder.
Yeah. Okay, we have already got a ton of vote already in the 4th district of Colorado. This is the special, 54-38. Do you have the margins of what Trump won
It
by?
was like Trump 18, 19.
This is 16, I believe. Wait,
Yeah,
no,
so like
this is 18. So, wait, no, this is 16. What am I talking about? This is 16. So a little bit of an underperformance here for Lopez. Oh wow, he's only winning about what he's. Let's see here. He's only winning by about 5 in Latimer County, which is Larimer County. I'm sorry about that. He is only getting 5% lead there. Yeah, he is underperforming pretty mildly here compared to what the Trump margin was.
yeah,
Again,
not a very significant underperformance at all. Pretty solid. I'll consider considering how scandal-plagued Lopez was. I think Republicans would take this as a pretty big win if it stays this margin.
yeah, we still have a ton of vote left in Adam. We have a ton of vote left in Arapahoe and Douglas. We still have a ton left in Larimer County, which is Fort Collins. But we still have a ton of vote out in the rural areas. So I would take this as a win for the Republicans. And the actual Republican primary for the 4th, Lauren Boebert already. I think this race is over. We'll just see how long it'll take for the call to come in. But Boebert seems to always rock this one up. Unfortunately, I don't want to. I didn't want to see her in Congress anymore. And Jeff Hurd leads by 20. We got a colorful map here going on. We got Ross Andrews getting the lead here in Eagle County. We got Lapata County going to Lou Webb. This is not a good sign for the Democrats because, again, you said their preferred candidate is Ron Hanks, and he's getting destroyed right now. Um, we have, oh wow, Gabe Evans is running it up right now here in the eighth. This is not even going to be close, I don't think. We have nothing from the fifth. And Bowman has continued to close the gap a little bit more here the in the 16th from New York.
Big project. We have a major projection from Steve Kornacki. Lauren Boebert has won the Republican primary in CO04.
All right, that was from Kornacki. All right. The GOAT has called it for Boebert, so I'll believe him, and we're not going to focus on her race anymore. Yeah, it's 60% in, and it's a 30-point lead. Yeah, I don't think it's worth looking at anymore.
Insanely successful carpetbag. You don't always see them go off that well.
I mean,
She did go from. She went from completely on the other half of the state.
Yeah. Maybe Democrats can hope. Can hope that they can pull what they did 2 years ago against her.
Well, unfortunately, this district. Unfortunately for Democrats, this district is a lot redder.
I mean,
CO03 was like Trump plus 8, and this one's like Trump plus 18. That's a pretty big difference.
I mean, we we can only dream, right? It's a pretty good margin of lead here for Bowman. He's getting about 84% in the Bronx. What's going on in Suffolk County? We have not gotten any results there yet.
Where?
New York won. It's the only place where we have not gotten any results in yet.
I don't know. I feel like they usually take a while.
True. I mean, we waited a while for the third district to come up, so. Looking at the 24th, the margin has come down a little bit for this, but a lot of votes just came in from Oneida County, which isn't much. We have nothing from the 5th of Colorado. And it's Gabe Evans projection. Gabe Evans will face Yadria Caraveo. I think Evans was the one that ran 2 years ago, right?
Yeah, Evans was considered the safer pick here. He will still have some issues. He has refused to confirm or deny his thoughts on the validity of the 2020 election. And this is a district Biden won, so certainly that'll be used against him. But he was the safer pick here. Joshy had gotten in trouble over lying about his medical license.
All right, I'm looking now. It's a 17-point lead here in the special of the fourth. Again, a
Yeah,
lot of
not much of an update since we last looked.
yeah, it's a 17-point lead. But again, this is just a moderate. It's not even that bad of a performance. It's around how Trump did 4 years ago here. But we'll see what the rest. We still have a ton of vote left in the suburbs of Fort Collins and Denver, but pretty solid results for Lopez despite his scandals. Oh wow, Bowman just closed the gap a little bit more. It's now
Yeah, it's
the
the
Bronx
Bronx.
come.
The Bronx kind of
Yeah, the Bronx is
is
coming in
pulling
very
some weight
fast.
for him. It's still, I still don't think his. We'll see what his E-Day numbers are in Westchester, but it's hard to see them being all that good.
He leads 84-16. I still think this is like the original vote count from Westchester. So
Yeah, it is.
I'm gonna go look at the math right quick. All right. I couldn't find the numbers, but I'm assuming Bowman is like 90-10 here in the Bronx. All right. Over here in the 24th, Tenney's margin continues to. Well, I'll pick it up that up later. All right. It's 17-point lead for Hurd over Hanks here in the third of Colorado. I think Hanks got Hurd got this one in the bag. Oh wow! Now the Republican is overperforming Trump. It's 20 points here in Colorado 4. I think this is the first overperformance for a Republican in like 2 years. Utah closes in about 30 minutes or so. Latimer just expanded his lead. Westchester just came in. Pretty good. It's the margin came down a little bit for Bowman, but I
It's more
don't.
votes overall.
Yeah. Here we go. 1-0 there. All right, so we got John Mannion continuing to expand his lead here in the 22nd of New York. Um, wait, was Mannion the candidate 4 years ago? 2
No,
years
he was
ago,
not.
sorry.
No,
All
no,
right.
I don't think so. At least.
All right, let's go over some Utah. Um, so let's go with the Senate first. So it's John Curtis, Jason Walton, Brad Wilson, and Trent Staggs. Can you inform us a little bit of this campaign?
Mitt Romney's retiring. John Curtis is probably going to win. Trump has endorsed Trent Staggs, but John Curtis is probably still going to win, which would be 0 for 2 on endorsements tonight for Trump because of Mark Burns losing in South Carolina.
Oh, so Mr. Cox, the state's governor, he's
Okay, I'm
facing
making
Phil
a call.
Wyman.
I'm making a call.
All right,
George Latimer, NY16, has unseated Jamal Bowman.
all right. Still about a 10-point lead, but this again, it's not looking like this is not the margins that Bowman needs. He needs to get better margins. So I agree with your call. So again, what's going on with Spencer Cox?
He faces a primary challenge because of a bill he vetoed over that would have banned trans women from participating in women's sports.
And Phil Lyman is the one he won the convention again. The convention, you said that it was he's like the most, I don't know how to describe it, but the GOP convention is more Trump leading than the
Oh,
Utah.
the GOP convention voted down Romney in 2018. And actually, it used to be different. So here's a fun story about the Utah GOP convention. So it's 2010. The incumbent senator is Bob Bennett. He goes to the convention and ultimately loses. He actually doesn't even make it to the final two. Back then, the rule was that you had to go to the convention, and if you won with, I think, 60% of the vote at the convention, you became the Republican nominee, no primary. Now, Bob Bennett, who was the incumbent senator at that point in 2010, he'd been serving since 1993. He came in third at the convention, so he didn't even make the ballot as an incumbent in the primary.
Wow.
Tim Bridgewater won that at that convention ballot by a decent amount, but he did not get 60%, so he went to a primary against a little known attorney at the time named Mike Lee, who won by about 2 points and has been a senator ever since. Now they've changed it so that if you don't win at the convention, you can get a certain number of signatures and still make it on the ballot, which has prevented it from being quite as insane. Because it used to be, yeah, you could basically just throw out an incumbent. And again, these are low turnout conventions. These are like we're talking like 3,000 people total, maybe 4,000. It's all party activists, so it was kind of absurd.
Yeah, and isn't like the conventions like very pro Trump?
Yeah, in general.
And then the first district, Utah, we got Blake Moore. He lost the convention again, but you're saying he's expected to win pretty handily.
Yeah, his opponent is not a serious candidate.
And then next is the second, Celeste Malloy, running for a full term. Uh, does her challenger have a chance?
Malloy is favored, but her challenger is a bit more serious, as much as quite a bit more serious than Moore's. I think he's been endorsed by Mike Lee.
And then finally, let's talk about the open third district. This is John Curtis's seat.
Okay, so yeah, John Curtis has represented this Eastern Utah seat since 2017. It's a safe Republican district, so this Republican primary will be decisive. The choice of the convention here is State Senator Mike Kennedy, who ran in 2018 for U.S. Senate and beat Romney at the convention before getting thrashed out in the primary. He won the convention again here for this seat. He's also endorsed by Mike Lee. Romney has endorsed Stuart P.A., the former chair of the Utah GOP, who also happens to be his nephew in law. Other notable candidates include Roosevelt Mayor Rod Bird, a former energy sector investor who is very rich and has spent a lot of his own money on this race. Case Lawrence, the founder of Circus Tricks, which I think it's no longer in business, but it was at one point a very, very large indoor trampoline operator. He's also spent a lot of money, and Utah State Auditor John Dogel is in the race as well.
All right, so and they just called it for George Vladimir. Uh,
And is Beto just yeah, I think you're referring to the New York Times.
yes. And then we're going to. So our most contentious primary is out the door. All right, so we have also gotten their call. Greg Lopez has just won. No surprise here in the Colorado fourth district. Um 22 points. That is a 4 point overperformance from Trump. So a very great night for him, for Greg Lopez. He's now running in the general. So we're getting votes in pretty quickly here in Colorado. So here in the third, Jeff Hurd looks very promising here for him to become the nominee here. He will face Adam Frisch. I'm gonna say it right now. My rating is gonna stay like we are, as it has been the entire campaign. And we got our first results here in the fifth district. We got Jeff Crank ahead of Dave Williams, 67 to 32, with 67% in. So Trump's candidate gets demolished. I think Williams is the Trump candidate, right?
Yes, he is.
So the Trump candidate is getting demolished here. It's starting to look very good for Tenney here in the 24th, but again, it's very early. It's at least 13% in. Going second. Yeah, none of these races are close right now, except for the 16, which has already been called. But it's 17 minutes until Utah closes, so gotta stick in there a little bit. So Jamal Bowman becomes the second incumbent to lose to an open primary challenger, not an incumbent v incumbent rematch.
We're gonna stay on for Utah.
Yep.
Okay. I guess it closes. Utah counts pretty slowly, so we might not finish it if a race
Yeah.
ends up being competitive, but we'll see. I'd kind of be surprised if any of these end up being too close. Really, the only one that's in, although a couple of house races maybe.
Okay, so John Avalon has started off with a 70 to 29 lead over Nancy Gore in in the first district of New York. So, what's the makeup of the first district? So, was this really expected to blow out here for Avalon?
I don't. There's no real polls of this race.
Yeah.
I would guess it'll probably get closer, but yeah, it's kind of hard to know.
Yeah, New York 1 is now coming in very quickly. I think it's Avalon. I think he's going to win here.
Well, so so obviously Jamal Bowman is lost. Um, if we're looking at other incumbent performances, it looks like Tenny is going to hang on. She's up by a lot, by quite a lot. She's up. She's almost 70-30.
Yeah.
Uh, his race isn't close, but interest. But I will point out just maybe an interesting incumbent underperformance. Dan Goldman only getting 66% in a race that I didn't really even have on my radar.
Ooh. I mean, I guess his constituents want him to be less on TV. Like, I'm pretty sure he's constantly on TV.
Led the Trump impeachment proceedings in 2019.
I mean, to be fair, he was like the counsel. He was like the lawyer for Nadler. But I think since he's gotten to Congress, I've seen him more on TV than him actually doing stuff, which is typically what Republicans do. So you were saying something interesting that John Curtis was a Democrat at some point.
Yeah, he was a Democrat for a little while. Um, I don't know if he held office while being one. Let's look. Yeah, he was a Democrat until 2000, from 2000 to 2006. He actually ran as a Democrat for state senate, served as chairman of a local chapter.
I'm just gonna make this say this. The Wikipedia is already just in a few minutes added Bob Good and Jamal Bowman to the incumbents defeated category. But the Colorado Ford special is our last special before
I think the New Jersey one is going to be before the election, but yeah, it's kind of our last one
yeah for
for a
uh
while.
I don't think New Jersey will be like a pinpoint. Except the special September 18th, which is like the week after our final set of primaries. And they have just John Avalon just won his seat, so no need to look at the first anymore. To be fair, it probably wasn't even going to be close in the first place. Surprisingly, we have not gotten calls in the 3rd District of Colorado yet. Wait, Monday Jones losing?
I think he's talking about the Working Families Party line.
Oh.
He's not contested in the Democratic primary.
Alright. New York closes in 5 minutes. Utah closes in 5 minutes. Don't know how long it will take for us to get results. This is our last stream until July 30th, I believe. At least you don't have to write the primary previews for the next month.
I like writing on, but they don't do too well.
Yeah.
I think they're a little too nerdy for most people.
I'm watching the margin for the Tenney race. Tenney has lost about 5% support since the last time we talked about it. All right, so while we wait for results, again, I'm going to go over the stream schedule for me for this upcoming primary season. All right, so folks, my next um, next stream will be on July 30th for Arizona, and then on August 6th we'll be live in in we'll be live for on August 6th. August 10th, no, not I'm not gonna stay up all night for Hawaii. And then August 13th will be live once again. We got a ton of primaries that night. And then August 20th, we got Alaska, Florida, and Wyoming. We won't be watching Wyoming, but Alaska and Florida definitely are going to get some attention. So I'll be live on August 20th. August 20th, we'll have a break on the 27th since we don't have really anything important for in the runouts in Oklahoma. And then September 3rd, we got Massachusetts, which I will be probably live. September 10th will be live, which is the last time I will be seeing you guys before November 5th, election day. So the polls have closed in Utah. Polls are closed in Utah. So we're now just waiting for results to start to come in. It's 9 o'clock here in Texas and it's still 91 degrees. Oh my God. All right. Hopefully we get results quickly here in Utah. I'm probably won't happen. All right, so Again, we're waiting on Utah to send in some results. Again, as we saw on Super Tuesday, probably not. All right, so let's look at some results. So right now, Jabon Bowman has lost re-election, but he's currently trailing by about 11 points, almost 12. New York 22, Sheriff Hood, Deron Mannion. Mannion looks like he's on the path to victory. New York 24, Claudia Tenney. Looks like all right, and then in Colorado, let's go look at the third. It's reloading, it looks like, but I'm just gonna straight up say it is Jeff Hurd, and there it is. He looks like he'll win. And then in the fifth of Colorado, it seems like Jeff Crank will win. Nothing yet in the Utah races, so when results come in, I will come back. All right, yeah, I'm gonna end this stream, guys. I'm gonna go play some video games. I'll see you guys later, and we'll be back live on the July 30th. So about 5 weeks for our continued streaming schedule.